Hello to my ballistic blood brothers and sisters in arms. It's March 2022, and here we are, moving on up. I gave you a health update the last video that I did. Things seem to be progressing ever so slowly, but in the right direction. And I'm still limited to low impact stuff, no live fire yet. But I was contacted recently by a company named Premium Skins. And they make a vinyl gun finish that you apply at home, kind of a do-it-yourself gun finish. I didn't really know what to expect when they first sent it to me, but I started doing a little bit of homework. The things look pretty nice, and I thought it might make a nice low-impact project so I'd have an excuse to get together with you and show you something cool before waiting for doctor's orders to get back to normal activities. So I tried it last week with a carry pistol with a SIG P365, and was I impressed. And I've got to tell you, if I can do it with 10 thumbs and zero artistic ability, people like you are going to be able to do some magic with it. Let's work together and let's do a bolt action rifle today in this finish, and I'll show you just how easy it is. So here is a before and after photo of the SIG P365. It was a standard gray finish. Here's a look at the new finish, which is gray pixel camo. And like I said, if I can do it, anybody can do this. I'm really excited about it because I thought this stuff was going to fight with me. I thought I'd have sheets of this vinyl stuck all over me. I'd look like a seagull in a six-pack ring caught on a beach stumbling all around. It was nothing like that. To make it even tougher, the X-Acto knife that I had was really dull, and that's terrible. I don't know why it was dull. It was brand new. I took it out of the package to do this, but a dull X-Acto knife is about the worst thing you could have, and it was still able to come out this nice. But today I got a new X-Acto knife. I've got some new sheets for a new pattern, and today I wanted to do a 308 bolt action rifle that's going to be suppressed that I'm going to spend some time with as soon as I'm cleared to shoot again. So the tools that we're going to need for this is really simple. We need an X-Acto knife because we've got to cut the vinyl. We need a heat gun, and this one is not a hairdryer but an actual heat gun. I found that I like having a little bit more heat, and the hairdryer just doesn't really seem to put that out without blowing too much air. I want the heat rather than the volume, as well as a couple sheets of rubber. Now the most important thing that they stress over and over and over is that the gun be clean. So we're going to disassemble it and wipe it down with acetone to make sure that we get rid of any oils that are on there. So now that we're disassembled to the major components and everything is degreased and dried, this is the pattern I chose. It is called Red Alert. And you can see the pieces that are pre-cut already. Now, I didn't choose this pattern because it goes well with, with what I normally do and have for firearms, but because I thought that it would make a really cool, neat, interesting, sharp contrast for a finish, so it would be very obvious what's been wrapped and what hasn't. You can see the pre-cut pieces. We've got the right buttstock, the left buttstock, the receiver, the forend, and then the barrel wrap. So the major components are already kind of fit for us. And we're going to start with the right side of the buttstock. We're going to carefully remove this decal. Set the others aside for now. And we want to center it, making sure that it wraps around the top and the bottom halfway at least. So having extra material can't hurt. Not having enough material, well, that can be a pain. And the neat thing is if you don't get it right the first time, you can always peel it right back up and set it back down again. It's the heat that you're going to see us use a little bit later on that's really the trick to making this glue really stick. So we're going to lay it down, start at the center, and move out on the flat, smooth surfaces first. That way if we have any bubbles, they're going to move out towards the edge. For the areas that have a lot of curvature to them and a lot of radius, that's where the heat's going to come in handy, because it actually makes this more pliable and flexible and helps us get around those corners much easier. In an area like where we have a sling swivel present, some hardware that can't come off, all we're going to do is cut around it a little bit, again leaving too much material, and then we'll be able to make that contour. Easy as that. Now I'm going to take my time, go around the whole thing, make a few cuts, heat it up, stretch it, and work it until it's all nice and smooth and covers everything. It doesn't take too much heat before it actually starts to feel more like rubber than it does vinyl, and it fits all of those contours. Once it's trimmed up on that first side, it's time to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. And on the left side, we have the cheek weld. Okay. We have the cheek piece. So it's a little bit more contrasting of a surface, a little more three-dimensional. It's going to take a little bit more heat to lay this piece down over. And just like we did with the right side, we just want to make sure everything's overlapping. And again, start in the center and then work our way out. and just keep working it until we're finished again, trim it up, and then move on to the next piece. So now that the stock is finished, I've got the forend, then we'll get into the receiver and the barrel. But I thought I would point out, since I don't have a trigger guard that's removable from the firearm, I'm going to cut a little slot in this, in the vinyl in the center. Then I can slide it over, start working on the center, and then rolling down the edges. Instead of side to side, I'm going to start bottom and go around the edges on this one. That was a really easy piece, just kind of a rectangular channel. So everything laid right over easily, and I was able to get the trimming done around it. So it's starting to finally take some shape. Now where the heat gun really comes in handy, other than taking those really tricky angles, heating them up and making it a lot more pliable, is in areas where you have checkering. So that's where this piece of rubber comes in handy, is I'll heat this up where there's an area with checkering or markings underneath, and then use the rubber to push down a lot of pressure on it, and it kind of helps it take a set. Can really press into these areas, and it's amazing how many of the smaller details you can see even through this finish. Also, areas that you might have a bubble or a fold, same idea. It helps you chase it out. Very nice. I'll go over the entire stock now, and then we'll get started on the action. So for the receiver, I just cut out a piece. All I did is lay it down on top of that larger sheet, line it up with the edge, and then roll it. And then you know exactly how much material you're going to need. So what I did is measure just a little bit longer and a little bit wider. And in this case, I'm going to start it just underneath the rail, because you're not going to want this to interfere with any scope mounting. So I'll put it up flush to the scope rail. And just roll it right around. Then I'm going to cut around the trigger block. There, now all I've got to do is heat it up and cut out the slots, and we'll be ready to move on to the barrel. That came out okay, and it was actually pretty straightforward. The tricky part, I think, or the part where it looks better than, well, someone like me, like I would expect I could do, comes from the trimming. I think if you take your time trimming and you take your time applying, I think that's really the key to having something that looks okay. Now the barrel, you would think this would be pretty straightforward, but it's quite heavily tapered. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to use a lot of heat, a lot of patience, and a lot of stretching. But it's just going to be as simple as rolling it, cutting it, and then just making sure we work those bubbles out. Get the barrel done. I'm not sure if it's the proper way to do this or not. That's what my job is, to screw things up so you don't have to, in case it's not right. But where the barrel does taper so much, I'm going to run it. I'm going to do this in two pieces. One where the barrel, before the barrel tapers, and then because I have plenty left over, I'm going to run the tapered area in a second one instead of trying to shrink this major OD all the way down to the equivalent of this minor OD. And we'll see how that works out. Yeah, I like the direction this is going. There we go. No bubbles at all. I think that was the right way to go. We'll find out when I'm done. Excellent. Trim and heat now. And one thing that I found helps tremendously, if you do heat it up, or when you heat it up, let it cool down before trimming, because it's a lot easier to trim with the X-Acto knife when it's nice and rigid rather than when it's still soft and pliable. Alright, I'm going to cut another piece and we will get the area over the chamber done. And after all your parts are covered, all we've got to do is reassemble it again. That's it. So how cool is that? It was just a fairly straightforward, plain Jane matte black finish rifle, and now I like it. I think it's a pretty cool finish. Now, are there any blemishes on it? Oh yeah, of course there are blemishes on it. I did it, and there are going to be blemishes. As well as the learning curve that I'm on. And when I say I've got, 8 thumbs, I really mean that. I do not have any artistic ability. So if it's something that I can do and have something come out pretty good, some of you are absolutely going to be able to do some phenomenal things with your pieces. This was a fun piece to do while I'm on light duty. I've been really racking my brain trying to think of reasons to be able to communicate and ways to show you things without having the physical ability of the doctor's sign off to get out to the range, and I think this one suited just fine. So thanks for joining me on this little journey to learn about the Premium Skins gun wraps. I'll have some links in the description below the video, some direct links as well as some discount codes for you. And I'd love to see your pictures if you try some and do it as well. I know you'll blow me away quality-wise, but I'd really be interested in seeing what you put together. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this. It's so nice to see you again. Make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button down here if you don't already. Share us with your friends in your vast social media universe. Don't forget to check in over on Facebook if you just like to talk guns, facebook.com/guntestvids. And you can pick our merch up at Bunker Branding at the link down below as well. They've got some nice shirt designs, and we're talking about adding a few more other items that are inspired from you. Anyway, it's been a good time. Thanks so much. Till next time, have fun and be safe.